Borderlands film, for me, is kind of like AI art. When you look at it from a distance and squint your eyes, it looks fine enough. But the closer you look at it more intimately, it's really just a stale, cold, emotionless piece of art that's just sincerely bad and messy. Let me explain why.
There's only one of you in the world, and you're special. Uh-oh.
Kill them all.
Borderlands, a ragtag team of misfits embark on a mission to save a missing girl who holds the key to unimaginable power. So in case you don't know, the Borderlands film is actually based on a series of video games that I actually have a lot of fond memories of that I used to grow up playing. Known for its crude gallows humor, unique art style, lots of violence, and very unique creative guns. So I feel like the film, could have had potential. But this film, really it has nothing to do with that. The humor really is flat. There's probably some moments of like that type of crude gallows humor, but nothing close to what the games were in terms of how insane it was. The action has no fangs, so you don't really get that crazy violence. And the guns really just look like toy guns, honestly. I'm not even kidding. There's parts of this movie where Kevin Hart's holding his rifle and it actually just looks like a Nerf gun they got from Target. So, nothing really like from the heart of the video games really makes it into this film. This film is more like a cheap imitation of it. That's more like me criticizing it from a fan of the video games, but let me go into why this movie is bad just as a movie. Firstly, this film is just a series of cheap, emotionless action set pieces onto the other. That like criticism gets thrown around a lot for a lot of films, like Zack Snyder films or Michael Bay films, and you have those criticisms of those films if you want. But this film really, like, there was no ethos to it at all. It really was just a random action set piece and then onto another action set piece that just ends as fast as it begins and on to the next. And here's the thing, the action wasn't even fun or even visually compelling. I mean, if you're not really gonna have any like substance or a real, story or emotion behind these action scenes, I can honestly forgive that if you can make the action like really cool, visually compelling, because film is a visual medium after all. But the action set pieces in this film, they feel like cheap fan films, honestly. They're shooting, they're falling over, it just looks very cheap, like a bad B movie, but unintentionally so. So a lot of time, I'm just sitting there totally bored out of my mind. And on top of that, the actors have no chemistry at all. Now I even go as far as to say that most of the actors in this film are totally phoning it in. I mean, Kevin Hart is just playing himself. Kate Blanchett, totally is just there for the paycheck. You can tell she's just zoned out the whole time. I will say though that Jack Black, I think, actually was good in this film, or not good, but like he's the only one that seems to really be trying as Claptrap, even though I do think he's a total miscast. And this film, I think, doesn't do anything to counteract that feeling. When you watch it, he's not good for the role, but he is trying, so I'll give him credit there. Ariana Greenblatt also I thought was like good in the movie. Like, she actually is kind of trying. But everyone else in the film, totally just there to collect the paycheck. Not from the main stars to the side characters. Yeah, there definitely is this feeling of everyone just half-assing it. And the film also really wants you to care about these characters, really have you believe that they're a family, or are they growing to be a family and learn to trust each other and learn to like each other. If it totally fails at it. The movie is really short, and right when it ends, right when you see them as a family, none of it feels earned at all. That plus the phony acting, you're not going to care at all about these characters. You're not going to buy into this narrative of a group of misfits learning to like each other. So much so that I think that retroactively, I feel like I've been a little too hard on other films that I have criticized in that regard, like Rebel Moon, for example, or at least like the regular PG-13 cut, and think like, yeah, I might have been too hard on that, considering this movie. There is even a character in this movie, Craig the Psycho, who I'm not too familiar with the video games, but kind of. But he was just there, like he's like considered one of the main characters, but he's really just there in the background and serves no purpose. You can take it out of the film and nothing changes. It's just very awkward. And yeah, that describes a lot of this film. A lot of it just feels very awkward, forced, like things just have to happen. The only good things I can say about this movie is that there were sprinkles of funny moments. Like, I'm talking about like maybe 2 scenes at most. And on top of that, there were a couple of scenes with good art direction where I'm like seeing the mise en scène in the film. I'm like, yeah, this is like, pretty creative, really nice. Like, I'm curious who designed that. Who was the art director on that? I would honestly give this film, like, the more I think about it, the more this movie sits with me. I would almost want to give this film actually 1 star out of 5. But 1 star, it would imply for me at least that there were 0 things I enjoyed about this movie, and that's not true. In the 1 hour 40-minute runtime of this film, I probably enjoyed about a minute and a half. So because of that, I want to give this film 1.5 stars. So it's not the worst film ever made, but it's definitely one of the worst films I've seen this year. There was just no effort or soul put into this film at all. It really was just a cheap cash grab.
How are we gonna get through this?
Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you plan on seeing Borderlands in spite of my review. Maybe you're a big fan of the games. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll see you next time.